Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our cybersecurity session. This has been a long anticipated session, and today we almost didn't make it due to the rains. So, on that note, we also want to apologize for the late start. It has been raining for most of the evening, but we're happy that you decided to join us for this very informative session. And again, the topic is cybersecurity. Be cyber aware, secure our world. And our presenter for this evening will be Mr. Romario Morgan, affectionately called Ro. He is a recent graduate of the University of Technology, where he focused on computer networking and security. And so we believe that this session today will be very informative. And so we want to ensure that you take out your pens, your papers, and get writing. And you can ask your questions in the comments. We'll be watching it. So any question that you have, any feedback, feel free to leave them in the chat and we'll point them out accordingly. So on that note, we are going to begin right now after just a brief word of prayer. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, your mercies, and your kindness. God, we thank you for the weather. We thank you, mighty God, that you brought rains, but we were still able to make it here this evening. Lord, as we're about to go in this session, we pray, mighty God, that each person will understand the material that is being shared. And at the end of it all, we'll all become more aware of how we can protect ourselves on digital platforms. So Lord, we thank you for Ro, who has committed himself to this time. And we just ask that you just lead and direct throughout this entire presentation. In Jesus' holy name I pray. Amen. All right, so now I'll hand over to Romario Morgan.
All right, so good evening, everyone. As Jody had said, we'll be going right into our session on understanding some cybersecurity concepts and how you as online could help secure yourself and others. All right, so the goal is pretty much to take actionable steps to stay safe online. And we're going to look at a definition of what is cybersecurity. Now we have on screen that it is actually broken into two parts, cyber, and that refers to anything related to computers or the internet, even digital technology. It also includes websites. It includes websites, online services, and devices connected to the internet. And the second aspect is the word security, and it means protection or safety from harm. So in this context, it really refers to the measures that you take to keep your surroundings safe from threats or attacks. But general definition for cybersecurity, it's actually defined as the protection of computer systems and networks from attacks by malicious actors that may result in an unauthorized information disclosure, or also theft or damage to hardware or software data. Now, why is it important to secure yourself online? Now, implementing cybersecurity best practices, it enables individuals and also organizations to better protect themselves and better protect their personal, financial, and sensitive information. Now, some statistics to share with you. 78% of persons actually consider staying secure online a priority. But out of that, 34% noted that sometimes they feel overwhelmed by the information, and as a result, they don't do much to secure themselves online. 39% of users, they try to keep themselves safe, but they say they find it a bit confusing. So I hope this would actually help in lessening the confusion. Now, some main concepts in cybersecurity, it looks at threats, defense, and data protection. Now, as you can see on screen, the threats are the potential dangers that you face while being online. So from viruses to being hacked or become a victim of a phishing scam, those are the threats. The defense looks at the tools and practices that the individual or an organization would use to defend themselves against or protect themselves from the threats. And when we speak on data protection, our third point, we're looking at what are the measures that you put in place to protect your sensitive information, such as your personal details or your financial data. A little more statistics to share with you. It is said that from an annual cybersecurity report, we found out that only 33% of individuals actually created what is described as a unique password. Only 18% have actually downloaded and used what is described as a password manager. And 43% said they have never heard the term multi-factor authentication, or MFA. We will get into that later on. And 92% of them actually said that they took action after going through some form of security training. All right, so 4 ways that we could stay safe online. 1 is by using a strong password. 2, I just mentioned multi-factor authentication. 3, recognize and report phishing schemes. And number 4, you keep your software updated. All right, so on screen, we see 3 password types. We see a weak, medium, and a strong. Logically, it would be best to choose a strong password. But in reality, a lot of persons actually just have a weak password. Now, strong passwords, use of strong passwords. It includes having random characters. Has to be, can anybody tell me at least how many characters should be involved in, how many characters you need for you to have what is described as a strong password? Including all the character types, at least how many is defined as a strong password? Go ahead. All right, somebody say 8. No, 8 is very small. Somebody say 11. Close enough. 15. 15 close enough, but at least 16 characters that is deemed eligible. So at least 16 characters, and it has to be comprised of capital letters, common letters, or it's a uppercase and lowercase, numbers and symbols. And on screen, you see we have never use passwords such as your date of birth, your spouse's name, your child, or if you have a pet, your pet name. And can anybody tell me why would you not want to use any of these as passwords? All right, so yeah, it's really obvious and it's easy to guess if you have used your name, because a lot of persons, they tend to use, for a quick password, they use probably their middle name attached with their date of birth. They use it for password and pins. And also, you supply so much information on a daily basis while even posting, and you're not even aware that you would. Yes, it's easy to decode. That's right. It's very easy. So you would not want to use anything that can easily identify you in the setting. And I know you're gonna say that you can't come up with a password of at least 16 characters. And if you have multiple online accounts, you're gonna say that you probably need to come up with as many passwords to help you get through all of that. So there is something called a password manager that eases your stress. Now, a password manager, this is a technology tool that helps users to, one, create, save, and manage their passwords across different online services. Now remember, you might not always be able to come up with it. And here is a tool that can help you to not just come up with a strong password, but ensure that it's also unique and you don't have to remember it constantly. Now, password managers, they're frequently available apps, as apps are in your browser. Anyone has ever begun signing up or logging in and they see a little prompt from probably Google asking if you want to save your password, or when you're signing up, it generates a password for you and asks if you want to use that password. Yes? All right, so that is the example of a password manager. Helps to generate strong, unique passwords. Go ahead, Jody. Yes, I was getting to that. So you can also, it's called a passphrase. So instead of the typical 16 characters, you use a phrase, a combination of words and numbers. And that helps you get through to, it will pass 16 characters. And that's also unique. So you have password and passphrases. And again, I say a password manager is available online, and it helps to store your password. It also, your password manager also alerts you of duplicate passwords. So if you use one password over here and you go again and you use it on another platform, the password manager would alert you and saying that you have the same passwords for multiple login, and it would also prompt you if you want to change them. And when your password becomes compromised and leaked, your password manager would notify you that this set of credentials came up in a list that was leaked online, so therefore you need to go ahead and have it changed. Yes, go ahead.
Are password managers free or you have to pay for them?
Some of them are free. You would have to pay for something like premium service.
Okay.
But I have here a list of what they had described as some of the best password managers for 2024. We have NordPass. We have NordPass. We have what is called 1Password. We have another one by the name of RoboFam. And we have one by the name of Keeper that is used on Mac and iOS/Apple devices. And we also have one called Dashlane. And one that I'm sure many persons probably interact with, your Google Password Manager. All right, so on screen, we have move on to what we call MFA. So to the left, we see the user logging in. Then we see the user with their cell phone asking if they should be allowed access or if they are the ones who are trying to get in. And to the right, you see welcome. Now that is described as multi-factor authentication. This MFA allows for an extra layer. It's an extra layer of security.
Switch.
It's an extra layer of security when it comes on to securing your online. When it comes to securing yourself online. So we see here on screen, it's an extra layer of security applied to your device or your account. Now, MFA comes in different forms. It might be in the form of a code sent to your email, the use of an authenticator app, or a security key, or even biometrics or your facial recognition. Anyone has ever been logging into probably their bank account, but when you put in your credentials, you don't go straight to your account. It asks you for probably a token, or you see an email asking if it is you who are trying to log in.
Yes, so I know NCB, well, it doesn't ask you to enter the token, but if you are in and you're sending a transaction, it asks you to enter the code that comes up, on a physical token or a soft token. But I know like for FCIBC, once you log in, they send an email, I believe, to say that you just logged in. And like for Sagicor, if you log in and you enter an incorrect password, they send a notification to say you entered incorrect. So that should alert you that if it wasn't you, you should be aware that somebody's attempting to log in. But yeah.
Yes, so that is multi-factor authentication. So banks use it a lot, and you should use it as well with your online profiles, whatever application that you are using online, that it can be enabled. So for those who love their Instagram account, love their Snapchat account, you should enable your multi-factor authentication so you don't end up as somebody who fell a victim to probably what we'll get into, a phishing attack. Someone end up using your credentials and behaving as you. So here we are, phishing. As you can see on screen, there is how do you describe that person?
A man fishing for information. It's the image of a fisher, somebody fishing, but it's really somebody who, like a hacker, who is fishing for your information or trying to get your information digitally.
Yes, so a phishing attack entails the use of urgent tone or urgent or emotional or appealing language that comes off as it will have dire consequences if you are unable to respond to them immediately. And we have on screen, you see, click this link immediately or your account will be closed. So what the hackers do, they send out emotionally appealing messages, or they give you a phone call stating a list of requirements that you should do, like send your personal information or financial information in order to get whatever it is that they were advertising. But these are what is described as phishing attempts.
I know there's one recent, like some persons with, unfortunately, NCB, But my friend, she doesn't have an account with them, but she got a message to say that her account is either compromised or it's going to be closed, and so she needs to click this link. And some persons, they may not be thinking that I don't have this account, they just click this link or the account going to be closed. They don't realize that they don't have an account with that bank, and they click it, unfortunately. But that's something that is happening more frequently now. Or an email might come. There's one with Microsoft. They're saying that your Microsoft account will be closed. And you need to click this link urgently to secure it. So those are phishing attempts. I think.
Man, those are phishing attempts. It's urgent, it's appealing, and they try to find a weak
And they'll
link.
address you by your name. So they'll say, Dear Jodian, this needs addressing immediately. So I think with that, once you see a name, you'll think that it is valid when that really isn't the case.
And what you should do in situations like that is not become scared and start to respond immediately. You check first. So if it's the bank, you find the time, you get through to the bank and try to get an understanding of what's happening. Because a lot of persons, as I say, they're not thinking at the same time and they just go right in, click, and then trouble from there. So, phishing schemes. Has anyone seen or heard of a movie called The Beekeeper?
No.
Alright, so that it gives a good example of phishing because the hackers are so talented where they're using the AI or automated intelligence to help them to craft these emails or to not just craft the emails, to send out calls. So the AI is helping the attackers to fine-tune any little mistake that they would have had previously. So to be on the safe side, you check if it's a financial institution, you check with that financial institution first. And if it's a case where you did not sign up or enter any competition to win any prize, do not. Go ahead. Oh. Do not click the link, do not send any information. Alright, so as I was saying about phishing, it's a social engineering attempt. And we have here that it is the root cause of as many as 2/3 of all the successful hacking attacks that were done. And again, social engineering, the attackers, they find a weakness and they press and press until whosoever their target is actually gives in. So in social engineering attacks, human weakness is the key cause of most of these attacks. And finally, the fourth way that you could stay safe online is to keep your software up to date. As we have on screen, that updates, it ensures that your device and your applications are protected from what is the latest threats. When an update comes in, a lot of persons would click install later or completely ignore it. And if sometimes they don't remember to check back later and do their installations, and know their device is probably moving slow or some things are not working, or they go on some online platform and their device is vulnerable, they click a link, click something, and they become a victim. Now always keep your software up to date. And as I said before, don't click the remind me later link. Be proactive and not reactive. And if you can't do all of that, you just allow your software to update automatically. All right, so based on all that was said, we are going to do a small fishing quiz exercise to see if you can highlight whether or not these emails would be legitimate or they're fake. So now your whole organization is in your hands. So here's an email from Luke Johnson. Now Luke shared a document with you, and Luke is saying that he's inviting you to edit the document. Now I want you to take a good look at the document and see if there is anything that you could identify. Hover over the name, hover over the document, look at the link. Does it seem legitimate or is it coming across as a phishing email? What say you?
Well, the zeros in the email address looks spooky, I would say. But for instance, I would have to first, consider like why would Luke be sending me a department budget if we have that type of work relationship. So that would be something. The document, the email address would be something that you could use on the first glance to confirm if this is a legitimate person. So instead of just looking at Luke Johnson over the email address to confirm that this is indeed the Luke that you are familiar with.
Okay, so you're saying this is a phishing email?
I would think so. The 8,000 is throwing me off. And it's saying Luke J S-O-N. It could be a shortening for his name, but that is also a little funny. So I'll click phishing.
All right, go ahead, let's see. Click on show me.
Show me. All right.
Okay, so when you hover over the link, it shows you that it goes to the insecure imitation domain drive.google.com.
Okay. So when you get an email, you can hover it and it will show you that?
Yeah, man, you check.
Okay.
So you are correct. That is a phishing email. Next one.
All right, so we have counseling psychologist say it's an unfamiliar email, not from my organization. So yes, that goes with what I said also. So always double check the email.
All right, so this one says time to mix it up. It's a email from, what we have here?
Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola selling a portable blender and juicer. From the get-go, I would think that this is a phishing email because Coca-Cola doesn't sell blender nor juicer. That's what I would think.
Well, they're having a giveaway, so.
It's a giveaway, but it's not in line with their business. And so Marcia Morgan and Sister Donna Francis say it's a phishing email as well. And I guess it's the same line of argument.
When you hover over the picture, You see that?
A little thing at the top.
When you hover over the picture, you see that it has a very, very long URL.
Right, I'm seeing that at the bottom.
So we're going through. You say that this looks like a phishing email.
Yes, I would think so.
Remember, your organization is in your hands. What are you looking for?
Well, the URL is one thing that I'm looking for. As I said, it's
Spell grammar.
very long. Let me see. Looking in the email. I'm not sure what that is saying up there, but it looks suspicious. Yes, I think it's a phishing mail.
All right, let's see.
Let's test phishing or legitimate. Phishing.
All right, so you see that you're correct. This scam was a real blend of techniques.
Yeah, so this scam was really right. You must have spotted the mismatched domains and truly unbelievable offer. It says the email claims to be from Coca-Cola, but the sending address is very random, not impossible for a legitimate email, but a sign. So it's not impossible for a legitimate email, but it's a sign that it is a phishing mail.
Because it's coming from, that's not Coca-Cola, just...
Yeah, so it doesn't actually say Coca-Cola in the email itself, just the name alone. So the email name is saying Coca-Cola, but the actual email address is like a random, some random information. All right, so the next one. All right, it's next.
All right, so this is an email from, what's this, PayPal. And it says the billing department has sent you an invoice. All right, so you're hovering, you're looking. All right, so when you hover over where you would view and pay your invoice, you're looking at the URL. How does that look to you? HTTPS.
Well,
from PayPal.
the URL is not very long. It has in paypal.com, www.paypal.com invoice, which it is an invoice that is attached. And I guess it's referring to the invoice details. So the URL itself looks legitimate. It's not very long, and it's relating to the sender of the mail.
So you're saying this one looks like a legitimate email from PayPal?
And I think so. And the email address, it has PayPal, sender at paypal.com. So I'm thinking because of that, it's related to the sender, it's related to the information there. It doesn't have a lot of just random information. So I'm assuming it is a legitimate mail.
Legitimate or illegitimate?
It looks legit. It looks legit. All right, so Milene Cohen says phishing. I'm not sure if she's referring to the PayPal mail, but she says it's a phishing mail. Let me see if anybody else say anything else. I think it is a legitimate mail. Although the sender name, the sender email address is saying billing department and not necessarily PayPal, I think the email itself is saying PayPal. So I'm thinking it's a legitimate mail. So let us check to see. If I get it wrong, this is just a test, guys. So I'm going to select legitimate. It is a phishing mail. It is a phishing mail, and we will hear why. So the phishers hid their scam behind PayPal's legitimate invoicing function to build trust. So probably, let us see what else it says. Ro can tell us what is it we overlooked here. So the message is actually a note from a seller. The scammers created a false sense of urgency, a common technique to trick users into action. So I guess what they did is they got an actual invoice from PayPal. They may have created an email similar to that of PayPal and sent out information that PayPal would normally send out, but it's not actually PayPal.
Yes, it has nothing to do with PayPal.
So how would we identify this though? How would we be able to identify this to confirm whether or not it is a legitimate mail? Next. Okay. All right, it says, the phishers are hoping you will call this number where they'll provide the scam. So there's a number there they're hoping that you'd call it. You can verify the phone numbers of legitimate companies through their website, example, PayPal's website. So if you get a number in the mail, you would first check to confirm that that number is indeed who it is saying it belongs to. So don't just call the number, but do further checks. Just randomly put the number in Google and see which business name comes up. So that would be a means where you could use to confirm.
Yes, so that was actually on point, Jody. And we're on to another email.
Yes, this is another email from Dropbox. No reply at Dropbox.com.
All right, so you're getting an email saying that your storage is full and you need to upgrade your storage. So when you hover over the link that they send to upgrade your Dropbox, the URL is saying dropbox.com
/buy.
/buy. So when you read through the email, does it seem legitimate to you, or you want to check with Dropbox?
Well, I think most of
Or do you
these...
even use Dropbox?
Exactly. So if I don't use Dropbox, that would definitely be a red flag for me. But also, most times with these storage things, they'll send notifications. So they wouldn't just pop up to say it is full. When it is almost full, or even before that, they'll tell you that your mailbox is full or whatever. So if I've not been getting those, and then this just pops up, then that would be a red flag. But also, if I don't use Dropbox any at all, that would be a bigger red flag for me. Yeah.
All right, so making the checks, you check if it is spelled correctly, if it's coming from, who it's coming from. So what say you on this email? Is it a phishing email or is it a legitimate email trying to get to you? Based on, you check the URL and you see who it's coming from.
I don't know, because the last one tricked me. Let us see. What can we use to confirm? Dropbox.com is in the URL. Probably we could type in that URL in Google to see if that is actually Dropbox's URL. Could do that. Yeah, I don't know. Or I could go on Dropbox's website and confirm.
What was sent to you?
Okay.
So what say you?
Anyone online can confirm? All right, so counseling psychologist said, if I didn't buy something for all right, so this is something else. It's just another comment. Lisa Edwards Merchant said, pay attention to the logo as well. So does the logo correspond with Dropbox logo? So that's a good thought. Let us see. I don't know Dropbox logo. I don't know Dropbox logo. All right, let's say this one is a legitimate one. Or let's just say phishing. I don't know. All right. Before we click, let us read the mail again. It says, hi, your Dropbox is full and is no longer syncing files. New files added to your Dropbox folder won't be accessible on your other devices and won't be backed up online. Upgrade your Dropbox today and get 1 TB of space and powerful sharing features. There's a link for other ways to get more space. Visit our Get More Space page. Happy Dropboxing, the Dropbox team. If you need the biggest plan, we've got you. Check out Dropbox for Business. I wonder why they don't write out their email, their website information. Instead of just clicking, they haven't written it out in the email. So maybe that is a red flag. Is that something to consider, the fact that they haven't actually wrote it down in the email, but it's just a link for you to click?
No, when you hover over the link, when you hover over the link that you're supposed to click, that says upgrade.
Yeah, I see that. But I'm just wondering. All right. All right, somebody said it's a phishing, so I'm just going to work with them because it is urgent. I'm following Merchie M on YouTube. She says it's a phishing, so I'm going to click that. Incorrect, it's actually a legitimate mail. Not everything is bad. This is a legitimate Dropbox communication. The sender is dropboxmail.com, which is unusual but legitimate, and the URL is a secure link because it has the HTTPS. So does it mean that once the link comes with that HTTPS, it is legitimate? Oh, all right. So that's a good point of information. So the HTTPS, so that is something that we can look forward to. So if we were to over the upgrade your Dropbox thing, it is actually there. Not sure if you're seeing it clearly, but that is a factor that you can. So whenever you get links, you can use that as a guide. If you're unsure about a domain, you can use a search engine to find out more information. So that goes well with what I said earlier. If you're not sure, you can just, right, you can just go on Google and check it out. All right, so that is great. All right, so there's another one. I think this is our final one, and we need you guys to participate. Oh, that is it, actually. Hold on. All right, so there's one more here. It says, all the codes. That's weird. You don't recall requesting a code via SMS, but you're getting codes via text message. So there are 3 screens there. One with a numerical code coming from Google. Then there's another one in the middle. Well, it's actually the 2 codes that are in the middle and the right. So the first one is from a 646 number. It says, did you request a password reset? If so, please ignore. Otherwise, respond with cancel plus the verification code. And then the other message is saying your Google verification code is this one here. So if you did not request a code and you get this code or this request via text message, then obviously that would be a red flag. However, if you are resetting your password and you requested the code, then you know that would be legitimate. So I think this depends on the scenario. If you were actually requesting the code. Right, Ro?
Yes, that's correct. If you had requested it, or if someone has your information and is trying. If you had requested it, or if someone has your credentials and they are trying to get into whatever service that requires you to use a verification code.
All right. So it says, did you request a password reset? Yes. So if yes, then you ignore the mail. But if you didn't, you're supposed to respond with cancel plus the verification code. All right. So I think this is a phishing one because usually, if you requested it, you ignore it. That is what it's saying. But if you didn't request it, they are still saying you're supposed to send a code, reply. So I think that is where the trick is. All right, good. Because, yeah, if you request it, fine. But if you don't request, why you need to send a code? I think with this one, they are trying to actually get the code to go into your email address. So it's, yes, I am certain of this one that this is a phishing. Let me see what it says. Correct, you got it. This is a fish. So this one is very straightforward. So what they are probably trying to hack in your email, and so it asks for the code, and so now they are asking you to send the code. So I think with this one now, you have to pay close attention to the actual message. Let us read it again. It says, did you request a password reset? If so, please ignore. Otherwise, respond with cancel. Obviously, you didn't respond. You didn't request it. So now you have to press the cancel and send the code. But if you never request it, you wouldn't need it. So I think that one is very straightforward. The information, it says, never share a 2-step code outside of a real-time verification process you initiated. So if you didn't request it in the moment, don't share it with anyone, such as a website login or while on the phone with your bank. So if you're speaking with your bank or whoever and a request came and you know you didn't request it, don't share it, right, Ro?
That's correct.
That is correct. And I think there's one now, like a WhatsApp one, where somebody, they send a code and they said that like they're having a prayer meeting and they want to add you to a particular group. So they tell you that they sent you a code for you to join that group, but you have to tell them the code in order to get in the group. And so you tell them the code and they hack into your WhatsApp.
And how can they send it then tell you to?
Exactly. If they send it, why you need to provide information to them?
There you go.
So that is a real life one that we have to be aware of. The counseling psychologist has a question. She says, can I run out of space on Gmail? I've been sent an email that I need more space on Gmail and I can purchase it with Google, or Google one seems to be legitimate. Legitimate, is it?
So your inbox can become full where you require additional storage, but it's always best to check the official pages and you could go from there.
Yes, and I think it actually shows you the space. Like my Gmail have been full before and I've had to purchase space. So it shows you. So like when the information comes, it would actually come in your email, or it pops up at the top of the screen to say that your email is almost out of storage, and it will show you like what percentage and gives you the option. But as Rose said, it is always good to double check. Just put it in the search engine Google just to confirm that this is actually a legitimate site for you to now purchase that additional space. Do we have any? All right, so I hope that works. That helps, rather.
All right, so I hope that little fishing quiz gave you some pointers as to what to look out for and how good they can craft those emails or text message and send to you. And in the end, it's on you to ensure that you do what is necessary to stay safe or protect yourself while using the online platforms. Well, thank you again for tuning in, and until next time, stay safe, user authentication, and have a good evening.
All right, thank you very much, Romario, and thank you to everyone who has tuned in or who tuned in to tonight's cybersecurity session. Auntie, you got some information? All right, everyone is getting information, and so that was very informative. And as we see, it may look like a regular mail and all of that, but it's important to double check. One thing that Ro pointed out is, look for the HTTPS wording at the beginning of the actual website to confirm that that's a legitimate mail. He mentioned the password manager options that you can use to create the mail. your passwords. He mentioned, huh? It actually creates the passwords and it stores them. He reminded us or informed us that the suitable or the acceptable length for passwords should be at least 16 characters, and it should be a combination of common letters, capital letters, numbers, or special characters. Special characters can be the dash, the exclamation mark, the @ sign, all of that. And he also told us, do not use your date of birth as your password. Do not use your husband or your wife's name. Don't use your child's name, because should somebody hack in your account, those are things that they know about you, or, they can probably easily gather. So you don't want to use those easy things for them to figure out. All right, so some very good information here, and so we want to thank you very much for tuning in, and we really thank Romario for putting this presentation together. It was very brief but very compact, and I'm sure we are much more aware leaving tonight's session. If you'd like the presentation, you can get it, or if you'd like to just review anything at all, you can just reach out to us and we can provide you with that. So that is it for tonight's session. Again, big thank you to Romario Morgan for leading us in this presentation tonight, and thank you very much for participating online.